and Chris Ockley here in Columbia, Missouri, at Columbia College with Tim Cornell, the second year head cross country and track coach here at Columbia College for the Cougars, and who I don't know if he's left the state at all except to ski and maybe compete, or even Columbia, I should say, the Columbia native and former Hickman standout and two-time cross state champion, two-time mile state champion.
Yep.
And all conference runner and regional qualifier and U.S. qualifier for Mizzou collegiately. And tell me, Tim, when you just obviously had a great high school and college experience and career, and tell me, when did coaching first ever pop in your head? Sounds like something that you'd be interested in.
Sure. It goes back a long way. I've been an athlete who was involved in his training all the way going back to high school. I had a great high school coach, Steve Cassane at Hickman High School, and Coach Cassane did a lot of things for us, but he also let us handle the things that he knew we could handle, and that was a great part of the way that he coached. He gave us the liberty to change our training and evolve as athletes and become better athletes that way by taking charge of the things that we could take charge of. So I was very involved in my own training early on and into college with Jared Wilmus, who was my coach. We had a great relationship, and he was very receptive and adaptable. So I always knew that coaching was something that was on the radar for a long time. It was just me wanting to control my own training. But as I grew and matured, I knew that I wanted to share what I had learned with good young athletes. So that's where coaching came from. And I think it goes further than that with some of Dr. McGuire's philosophies, the long-time Missouri track and field coach, of creating a really well-rounded program. So not just creating a great athletic program, but a program that we can be proud of from an academic and social standpoint as well.
Right, yeah. I mean, Coach McGuire's famous for that, and building well-rounded people and not just great athletes. And I've always thought, what good is it if you coach your high school team to a state title if 3 years later all 7 of those people are in jail for problems in life, and then so after you finish your eligibility, you picked up were the director of operations over at Mizzou, and tell me just what you picked up through that experience.
Sure, great experience at the university. Had the opportunity to work with Dr. McGuire a little bit, but that was during his transition time, and Brett Halter took over as the head coach. And Brett's a wealth of knowledge from an athletic standpoint, and so I learned a ton about running a great track and field program from him and the rest of the coaching staff, Dan Lefevre and Rebecca Wilmus and Derek Peterson. They're great track and field minds. I really enjoyed working with them. A wonderful place to start. So Brett gave me my first opportunity on a track and field staff as director of operations, and it was a great place to start and a fairly easy transition. I didn't have to move anywhere. I didn't have to learn a new system, but I was able to acquire new skills through that experience.
And so have you ever lived outside of Columbia?
I lived in Colorado for a few months during one of the summers in between, I guess, my junior and senior years in college.
Okay.
But that's really the only time that I've lived outside of Columbia. It's always been a good base. My family is here, but I do enjoy getting out and seeing the world. So it's been a good place to travel from.
Well, it's pretty remarkable, just that competing in high school and then collegiately and then to work professionally and not having to travel but a few miles.
Sure. Well, there are great people here, and in talking to Dr. McGuire, I think his philosophy would have drawn me no matter where it was. It just happened that he was in my own backyard. Sure. And if I had been somewhere else, St. Louis, Kansas City, or even further away, his message would have spoken to me, and we talked about that early on in my college experience. So it just so happened he was right here, and it made it even easier for me to become a Tiger.
Right. And when the program here expands and Coach Burchard and AD Burchard decides that we're going to add cross country and district track program. Tell me about that. Seeing that opening and then eventually getting hired for this position.
Sure. Well, I knew I wanted to coach after spending time on the Missouri track and field staff, and this was a wonderful opportunity for me to grow as a coach, to grow as a person, and to figure out the kind of program that I wanted to build, to assimilate the pieces from what I had experienced at Hickman and what I had experienced at University of Missouri and all of those different experiences and combining them into one. I knew Columbia College had a wonderful athletic tradition. My original plan was to come over and see the program, have a frank discussion with Mr. Burchard, our athletic director, and just say, hey, what are the intentions for the program? I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know what they were seeking.
Are they just to stay stay in the conference, or is he serious about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And he made it very clear that he wanted a competitive athletic environment through cross country and soccer and volleyball. It's something that comes through with us, and that's exactly what I was looking for, a place where I could be competitive athletically, academically, and socially. So it was the perfect environment for me, and again, it just happened to be in my own backyard.
Sure. And obviously a great tradition with men's basketball and women's volleyball, and great athletic program in the AMC conference, American Midwest, and then NAIA, and so much success on that level. And tell me, you jumped into it pretty quick. I think once you were hired, I saw you at meets pretty soon after there, recruiting and wearing the Columbia College gear. Tell me, the whirlwind, I assume, the last 2 years?
Well, it was good to be back at meets. The role that I was in at the University of Missouri was a non-recruiting role, and while I paid attention to the high school results, I wasn't as in touch as I am now.
Sure.
So I was anxious to get at the high school meets and to recruit the right kind of kid. And it takes a lot of work to identify those kids. It's not just a time on a piece of paper. We've got to figure out which men are right for us from the academic standpoint, and who those really, really good kids are who are going to fit our program.
Right. And I mean, it didn't take long. I mean, I can't believe that we got the job, October of 2011?
Yeah, I guess it would be. I've been here for just a little bit over 2 years now.
And, and amazed you in that short, 6 or 8 months, maybe 9 months, able to get 7 men, I believe, on board, and 5 or 6 women?
6 women.
In the first season?
Yeah, so it was a struggle. We were jumping in late from a recruiting standpoint. A lot of kids had already committed, and we were able to find 7 really good men who bought into our vision and win a conference title that year. Everything came together last year, from the guys being able to work together from a health standpoint and a sickness standpoint. And we won the conference meet by the slimmest of margins, 1 point, over a very good Park University team that was 17th at the national championships the year before. So it was really a testament to those guys, to how hard they worked, and just their dedication to the sport.
And in that victory at last year's conference meet earned you that berth to nationals in not Spokane, but
Vancouver, Washington.
Washington,
just north of Portland.
And I believe men qualified, and then got one woman through.
Yeah, Julia Montgomery from Blue Springs, and she had a tremendous season last year. Unfortunately, she was hurt for us this year. But our women's team has stepped up in her absence, and I look forward to getting her back, and another young lady, Riley Fader from Troy, and that women's team is going to be dynamite in years to come.
Right. Tell me what that experience was like, and what was the reaction around here that after 11 months into the program, or 13 months, and you were already qualifying for nationals.
Right. Well, we came out with a bit of a bang. We had beaten Park in our first meet, and that was exciting for us. I had no idea what to expect. I knew our workouts were good. I knew that we were recruiting the right kinds of kids, but you never really know until you step on the course, and you never know until you get through an entire season. So we were young. It was a transition to 8,000 meters for us, And I was just really proud of those guys in the end. You know, we didn't have any expectations other than we wanted to work hard and we wanted to do things the right way in our mind, and it worked out from an outcome perspective.
Sure.
We completed the process and the outcome came out in our favor that time.
Do you think that experience of nationals for those guys just fueled them even more? That, man, this, you know, we've got something.
Yeah.
We just, you know, that drive to really help be a part of building this program.
Sure, I think so. And, you know, being isolated regionally, I think that they didn't necessarily know what to expect from a national standpoint. They went out there thinking, you know, let's try and mix it up, try and be top 20, maybe something like that. And I think we ended up 27th or 28th with a very young team, and that's more what we expected. But those guys did respond very positively to it. You know, we were the only team out there with 7 freshmen, and that was exciting. And they were a little bit overwhelmed at the time, but I know that in years to come they're going to provide great leadership for us because they've had that experience.
Right. And who was your first commitment last year, or 2 years ago, I guess?
Oh gosh, I think it was Devin Sander from Columbia Hickman, and Devin was a great kid, Eagle Scout, great student, and he came out of the same high school that I came out of, 12th at the Class 4 state meet that year, so he was a good one for us to get on the very first time. Right.
And just tell me about how things went this year. Obviously, you guys wrapped up your most of your season, I should say, on Friday at the conference meet, hosting it here, and runner-up finish for the let's see, men and
the men were 4th.
I'm sorry. 4th.
Yeah, we had a bit of an injury-plagued season on both the men's and women's side this year, as well as everything went from an injury standpoint last year. We didn't have that kind of luck this year. Being a new program, we're not as deep as we're going to be next year and the year afterwards. So we're still in a building process. But conference meet was this past Friday, and we were second on the women's side without 2 of our top 5. And without 2 of our top 5, we were 4th on the men's side, and really having to plug some gaps. But I was proud of how everybody stepped up. We qualified directly out of our conference meet, unlike the NCAA regional system. Right. So a top 5 individual finish will get you to the NAIA championships. A team victory gets you there for sure, and then there are at-large berths beyond that. So we got 3 men through, 3 women through. We really dominated the race up front in terms of putting people in the top 5, putting people in the top 10. Just didn't come away with that team title like we wanted to. You know, certainly disappointed in the outcome, but our kids ran well for what we had out there. I was not disappointed in them at all. I thought they ran a tremendous race.
And I think the conference has come a long way. I think obviously Park has had good success for many years.
Yes.
And, but you just see the big growth that William Woods and even Hannibal LaGrange have made, and so it seems like things are only going to get tougher.
Yeah, it's a tough conference now, and it's only going to get better. We're adding Lindenwood, Belleville, St. Louis College of Pharmacy. Freed Hardeman was there this year. Williams Baptist is adding cross country on both the men's and women's side. So it's not only going to be a bigger conference, but a tougher conference. William Woods is a continually improving team. You know, they were real good in the mid-2000s, winning a couple women's titles, and they're back to that form again. I think they're a top 25 team coming up, and they'll get the chance to prove that at our national meet. So, you know, I wish them well, and they're going to be a good representative for us. But we know that our women are right there, and you know, I think going into the season we were the best team on paper, just didn't have that luck from an injury perspective.
And when you explain that to the athletes that, I mean, that there are so many variables and that you can't get down, do they feel like they respond to see that this vision that you have for the program, and that you can't get down just because, you know, after making it to nationals first on the men's side and not making it this year, are they believing that? Yeah,
I think so, because what we do is we focus on the process. We're worried about what we can do every single day to get better, and we know that the outcome is out of our control. Sometimes we race as well as we can, we train as well as we can, and if it doesn't work out on Saturdays, then we're prepared for that. We're trying to focus on what we can control and have our victories come in that way.
Yeah. And well, let's see. And talk to me. Obviously, I had a short, brief career, NAIA career, and there's just so many levels of competition and great schools and great competition. I think the people need to just really do a lot of work and to find which school they're, fits them. And if you really want to run college, you can, and there's spots for you, and there's schools all over the place. But and obviously, NCAA Division I gets so much attention and much of the spotlight. But talk to me a little bit about, there's great competition at NAIA. I know at Lindenwood we were second cross my freshman year, indoors, outdoors. At 8K, I believe that at Division I, at 8K, we would have been a top 12 team.
Right.
And even the team that beat us, full of Africans, would have been maybe top 8 or so, or 5. And there's great competition, in obviously Division II, Division III, and also NAIA. So talk a little bit about kids need to keep their open mind open and not just see one label and think, oh, well, that's
right. Absolutely. You have almost as much experience at the NAIA level as I do. I've really been learning the conference over the past couple of years, and it's a tremendous place to be. There are excellent coaches at the NAIA level, programs that support their athletes, as well as anybody in the country. I think obviously NCAA Division I gets the attention, and deservedly so. They're pulling in 5-star recruits from track and field, and there are certain kids that really need to be at that level for a growth standpoint. But at the NAIA level, we've got guys running under 25 minutes. We've got girls running in the mid-16s. So you'll see just as much quality at the NAIA level as you will at NCAA Division II, at the Division III level as well. So from a competitive standpoint, I'll put some of the top teams in the NAIA up against just about anybody in Division II and Division III. It's just different. That's all it really is.
Right.
And I've really enjoyed my time here. I think being at a smaller school has helped me grow as a person. I came from NCAA Division I, had never experienced the NAIA, and it's good to see a different side of the sport. And it's no better, it's no worse, it's just different. And we're recruiting great kids. We're recruiting right where we need to be with the Division IIs and the Division IIIs. And those are the kind of kids that it takes to succeed. You see some of the schools in California pulling guys who have run 9-10 out of high school. Or 4-10. So there are kids who need a smaller environment to succeed, both academically and athletically, and we're here to support them when that does happen.
Right. And I know, they're great athletes and great coaches, and obviously the NCAA Division I national champion in cross last year has only got one Division I title, while he's got a couple of NAIA titles also to his resume before that NCAA title. So great talent all over the place. So wrap up. Any thoughts on the future of the program and where you see this thing going? I know you guys are planning, or maybe even past the planning stages, for a track around the soccer field. Tell me about what you see for the future.
Sure. I see us growing. And when people ask me this question, it's a multifaceted question. There are things that we want to do from an athletic standpoint, from an academic standpoint as well. And I think well-rounded is the word that I typically use for our program. I've always been enchanted with the idea of the Renaissance man, the Renaissance woman, and not jack of all trades is a misused nomer, but we want to be really good in multiple areas of our lives. We want to be great athletically, and that's the area that gets the most focus from us. But we do a number of community events that help us become better people. We put a high focus on academics as well. And so, 3, 4, 5 years from now, I want this to be one of the best, most well-rounded programs in the NAIA. I think we're on our way athletically. We're recruiting the right kids. We're going to get the recruits. But it comes down to, can we make those people better? Can we continue their development? Can we make sure that they're succeeding in school as well? Those are the things that are going to last 10, 15 years from now. And so that they can become valuable citizens in whatever field they go into, whether it's a cross-country coach or a doctor. So
Sure.
that's our goal.
Yeah.
Well-rounded.
And professional runners and track and field athletes, come again from all divisions,
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3, and NAIA. But I think most young student athletes need to realize that there's only a tiny few people that can make a living in running.
Very few, very few.
tiny.
But you see kids come out of the NAIA, and I think we had the best time collegiately in the 5K and 10K for a while there.
Right.
A kid from the Masters College out in California went out and won the Stanford 10K. So the NAIA is a good running division,
and that's my point. Is too many kids get into you got to have the academics. You got to have you got to get that degree and keep those grades up, and because there's only a tiny percentage of people that will be able to make a living off of running and track and field.
Absolutely.
So, well, Tim, I sure appreciate the time, and I'm looking forward to see how things go for you guys. It's a national meet in about 11 days or so?
I guess so, yeah. Coming up in Lawrence, Kansas on November 23rd, so tremendous opportunity to showcase our athletes and the hard work that they've done over the past several months.
And historic Rimrock Farm, one of my favorite courses.
Beautiful course.
And what thoughts and goals for the 3 men and 3 women?
Sure. I think we're shooting for top 100 on with all 3.
Well, and let me jump in. Another part of one of my favorite things of NAIA is the so many different events in track and field and nationals and indoors and outdoors, and also just these big field sizes that allow. It was about 300 qualifiers for NAIA cross.
About 300. There are 32 teams on both sides, so 32 times 7, so you get 224 if my math's right, with just the teams, and you're getting some individual qualifiers as well. So you're closing in on 300 people, so it's a big race, and Rimrock Farm is a great place for it because it's a big course, and it can handle that number of people, and it's extremely competitive. So we feel like if we can get some of our kids, we've got a couple ladies who we think can be All-Americans. Lindsay Martin from Lee Summit High School and Emily Schultz from West Plains. They'll be mixing it up at the front. Maggie Noble on the women's side is a freshman. This will be her first national experience. We think she can be in the top 100 as well, and that'll be a great start for the women. On the guys' side, Devin Sander, who we talked about earlier, Tommy Skoski from Fox High School, and Michael McCulloch from Kansas City, Staley area is going to be there as well, and they're all tremendous runners. We know that they can be top 100, which is a huge honor on the guys' side as well. It'll take good races from each one of them, but that's kind of the goal, just to see where we're at and take that next step forward in our program from an athletic standpoint.
Right. Well, it'll be fun to watch, and hopefully nicer weather than I think the last couple of years up in Washington have been. So
that's true. It can't rain as much as it did up there last year.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the time, Coach, and good luck in 10 days or so. And I know great things to come from the Columbia College program, and kids just really need to take some time and check out the program and give it a chance, because I know there's great things to come for you in the program. So I appreciate the time. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. It's great to see you as always.